You know how you see those long, scientific names for plants and animals and just kind of skim past them? Well, have you ever stopped to wonder what story they tell? Because every single name has a history, and today we're going to dig into the story behind this one.
Wow, just take a look at this illustration. You can see these absolutely elegant, cascading sprays of these delicate, creamy white flowers. They almost look like little stars, or maybe even tiny moths just hanging there. But trust me, there is way more to this beautiful plant than just its looks.
Every living thing has a history, right? A place in the world, an identity. So what is the story of this flower? Let's dive in and find out.
All right, first step, let's just uncover its official identity. What it's called and how it actually lives its life.
Okay, so the plant we're looking at is an orchid, and its modern scientific name is Aerangis Citrata. But I want you to pay close attention to that first word on the slide, epiphytic. That is a huge clue about this orchid's entire lifestyle.
So what in the world does epiphytic mean? Well, you can basically think of this orchid as an air plant. It literally grows on the branches of trees, but, and this is important, it's not a parasite. It's not stealing anything. It just uses the tree for a place to hang out, getting all the food and water it needs from the air, the rain, and whatever bits of debris collect around its roots. Pretty clever, right?
To really get to know it, we can look at its scientific classification. I find the easiest way to think about this is like a mailing address. We're going to start really broad and then get more and more specific until we pinpoint its exact location in the whole tree of life.
First, the biggest category. It's in the plant kingdom. No surprise there. It's a plant.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Next, we narrow it down to the family Orchidaceae. This is one of the biggest and most diverse families of flowering plants on the planet. We're officially in the orchid family.
Getting even more specific, we arrive at its genus, Aerangis. Now, this is a group of pretty closely related orchids that you'll mostly find in Africa and Madagascar.
And finally, we have its unique species name, Citrata. You put it all together and you get Aerangis Citrata. That's its complete scientific ID card. But as we're about to see, that name hasn't always been so simple. That's right. This orchid has had, let's say, a bit of an identity crisis over the last 2 centuries, and that brings us to its really fascinating history of names. Just look at this timeline. This is basically science in action. It was first described way back in 1822 as Angraecum citratum, and yep, that's the name from that gorgeous illustration we saw a minute ago. But as botanists studied it more, they kept moving it around. It went through 4 different names over a 92-year period before it finally landed in its current classification in 1914. It's a perfect example of how our understanding of the natural world is always evolving.
So we know what it's called, and we know how it got its name. But where in the world does this orchid actually call home?
Its home is the incredible island of Madagascar, just off the southeastern coast of Africa. And it's not just found there, it's what we call endemic to Madagascar.
And that's a really crucial point. Being endemic means this species evolved in Madagascar, and in the wild, you can't find it anywhere else on Earth. That makes its unique island home incredibly important for its survival. Knowing that it has such a specific and isolated home, well, that raises a pretty important question. How's it doing today? What's its conservation status?
To answer that, we looked at something called the IUCN Red List. This scale is the global gold standard for measuring how at risk a species is of going extinct. It ranges all the way from extinct to least concern. So the big question is, where does our orchid land?
And here is the good news. Aerangis citrata is currently classified as least concern. This means that, for now anyway, this unique native of Madagascar is not considered to be at any immediate risk of extinction.
So, from its life as an air plant to its journey through 5 different scientific names and its very special home in Madagascar, this one little orchid has quite a story to tell. It really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? How many other natural wonders out there have a story hidden in their name, just waiting for us to explore?